Cool. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to another video from the Joining the Dots Startups Network. It's a real pleasure to have Rux Dariescu. Hope I pronounced that right. Sorry, Rux, late in the afternoon here. But welcome to today's broadcast. And how are you today?
Hello, Carl. Thank you very much for having me. Yes, you pronounce my name very well. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, brilliant. Let's kick off straight away with a bit of background. I love listening to you talk about various things that we're going to go into today. But let the viewers know a bit about your work today. I know you've done some great won awards and are being lined up for some more stuff around your mentoring. So just tell us a bit more about who you are.
Well, that's who I am is never just a complete story. I'm building who I am every day. But I've been in the technology world most of my career for about 25 years now. And I am curious about how can we make things work, creating new things, or the ones that are there already, how can we make them work? And I bring an angle of technology to it. But I don't think technology works without the people. So my focus over the years has been to understand the connection between having a purpose, working on a project, you have people you interact with, you apply a process, and how do you make magic happen? That's where I'm coming from in my work. I base all these on my scientific background, because I'm a biochemist scientist by education, and I take my inspiration from nature and natural systems. I absolutely love to find those parallels and kind of try to bring it up to other people as well to see how easy it is to connect what we do in a technology-driven world versus what's the natural world doing.
There's some words in there that I love to hear. And I think it's a great way to kick us off, because I know, when you talk about technology and projects, there is this thing that, we focus on Joining Dots around digital transformation, and companies want to innovate, they want to change, they want to bring their people with them on that journey, and obviously, kind of get the most from their people. And I know these are areas that you're specializing in, and you've said, words like purpose and actually how we can take lessons from nature. I'm always fascinated about how people and AI are going to interact in the future, and also technology and people are interacting and have been. So this is all, I know, fertile territory for your expertise. Maybe just give us a sense of, what are the, often, consultants and people in the field, they get exposed to the same sort of issues over and over and over. What are the common things that you face when you talk to companies who are thinking about IT transformation or big projects where they want to innovate?
My finding is that there are two elements to transformations. One is the environment itself, tools, processes, technology, and the other one is people. And I noticed that most of the companies put a big priority on dealing with the tools, and it's a lesser importance when you deal with the people, because somehow people magically have to transform themselves. So that's the part I find interesting in the world. And I've read recently an article with a questionnaire to about 16 different CEOs of important companies in the world, who have been asked what are their major problems in the business, and nobody said technology, everybody said collaboration and skill set gap. So to me, that's a people exercise, it's not a technology one. That's why I'm so passionate about bringing the people in the conversation and making the interaction of the people actually contributing to collaboration, because I see collaboration as one definition, and interaction is actually supporting collaboration. You can't have collaboration without interaction. And I'm also looking at what does it mean to have a skill set gap. Is it maybe a problem with how we define the roles and the expectation around the role rather than the objective of the role? And how do you bring those things in sync so you can actually deliver together?
That's awesome, because I've never had this moment in all the time I've been looking at the phrase digital transformation and thinking about, obviously we both have a background in personal development as well. So there is this concept of personal transformation. But actually when you're saying about the natural and the technology, in companies, they're obviously a balance and mix of these things as well. So you can't have necessarily the digital transformation if the people transformation isn't somehow facilitated. And obviously you don't want to necessarily, maybe a person, when they hear that, they're thinking, well, that sounds like either complicated or not easy to suddenly just magically change people. So talk a bit more about how do you, because I know you've also put in some processes that really handhold people through some of how they can plug into the people power, really.
Exactly, it's people power, because there is so much untapped intelligence with the people you already have, but you qualify them in a box saying unskilled or missing skills. You don't even know the skills, and I think that's the part that it's important. People are associated with a job title or a role title, yeah? And as a default, the way people are seeing you, people you interact with, the way they see you, it's in association directly with your job title. They do not assume that you have skills outside the job title as a default. And it's very difficult when you are in the middle of a project where you apply those skills to actually come and say, hey, I have a bunch of other skills that I could contribute with here, because they are not in your role. So that lack of visibility to what is available versus what you use creates a lot of discrepancies and a lot of conflicts between people. Because there may be people in a team, especially in IT, let's say you create a product and you have all kinds of roles there, from product owners to project managers to team leads in development, software engineers, UX designers, UI designers. You have all these roles and each one has a specialty. And the way they look at the interactions with the rest of the team is from their specialty point of view. But if people don't know about each other's specialty much, they assume something will happen. When you make an assumption like that, you just based it on your expectations that something will happen. You have no facts around it. Everything is subjective. So how do you translate subjectivity into objectivity when you interact with people? Now that to me, it's a big question, and I've been exploring it for a decade now and try to conclude it in a way that you look at the team interactions that are relevant for what you want to do together in the technology world as a major focus, because that's where I've seen a lot of conflicts happening and blame game. And it's never nice to be in a team where there is a lot of blame game. You get to failure very fast. And it's not like fail fast, but it's pure failure, yeah? And getting all these people understand each other from a different point of view. Because what do they collaborate on? They collaborate on an objective. They want to deliver something together. So their deliverability index, let's say, is as good as how well they interact on the subject that is in hand in that moment in time, in the moment where they have to exchange information. If I am a product owner and I assume the others understand my role because it's in the role description, it's a wrong assumption. It's my expectation. And expectations are very personal. Expectations are based on our background. It's not on someone else's background. It's my expectation of how I understand the world from someone else's point of view. It's not an objective, it's just an expectation.
So tell me a story of like an example of a project that you've worked on where these issues you've faced, and then how is it resolved, and how can people sort of practically work with this?
Mm-hmm. So let me take an example from a product team that was working on delivering a product release. Between the product team and the development team, there are about 26 people, so fairly good sized product team working together from all roles needed to deliver a good product. And there was a lot of ping pong going between the product owners defining what the scope is and the software engineers who are implementing the respective requirements. And the ping pong was going on like, I expected you to give me all the conditions. Oh no, I expected you to have already all the conditions. And how do you deal with that? It's just an expectation up in the air somewhere, and nobody looks at the data. So before you look at the data to make it up in, you know, a meaningful information and to apply your knowledge to it, a conflict has already started. And those conflicts come with high emotional load, and the interaction breaks down. And let's say this is your first meeting in the day where you work with the team on specific requirements where everybody has expectations of each other. And then you have, let's say, 3 more meetings in the day where you have to do design work or you have to do validation work. And you don't interact with the same people, but you carry the emotional load from your first interaction throughout the rest of the day. So everything you try to deliver in that day is going to be either of a lower quality or impacted in terms of your performance, because you already got a negative load for yourself. Now, most of the times we say, oh, well, this is part of life. Well, you know, you have to ignore, or you have to be strong. But how can you ignore if you feel that? It's about you as a person, part of a group. You can't really ignore yourself to be part of the group. You have to understand it, not ignore it. Understand it and understand the meaning for you and as part of a group. And this is the part where I call becoming aware of connecting your purpose in your work with the purpose of the team you find yourself interacting with or in the business you are. If my purpose doesn't match where I am, I have to look at options. But if my purpose matches where I am, the reason for me to be there, why am I there? To create something, then it resets the way I interact with people, because I have something to connect with and we can work for problems. But if I don't have that, I cannot really work further. It's a break of trust between us. I say something, you understand whatever you want from what I say. That breeds conflicts. So in a team like this, what you can do is to transform subjectivity of perception into a format where everybody looks from an objective point of view at the same, looking at the same aspect. So if you look at the, let's say, quality of organizing a project like this, when you lead a team, if you are in an organization that has a hierarchical structure with a team lead, it's different than if you are in an organization that has a self-organization type of interaction where there is no nominated leader. So those two are different types of interacting between people. But when you have a leader, everybody, when a conflict arises, everybody passes on the resolution to the leader. Yeah, that blocks the entire team. How do you, if you are organized, you should be able to continue the work. But if you are not organized, your team leader becomes a bottleneck solving conflicts. You don't solve the project anymore, you solve conflicts.
You developed, sorry, go on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking in terms of the audience out there. There's two things I'm thinking about. One is, I know that you've developed a way of unlocking all of this in terms of the software that you provide. So tell us a bit about the software, and then also tell us about maybe some of what you've learned from developing that software, that people who might not use the software itself can still benefit from the the way that you're facilitating this. And
yes. So when I looked at this kind of tool to support people interactions, is not about following the task itself. It's about following how people interact. And it's a self-scoring mechanism that puts the person in the seat of the leader in the conversation. So if I am, let's say, the product owner, I see myself in relation to everybody else, and my score has to reflect my feelings towards the conversation or towards the action that we interacted about. If I am a software developer, part of the same interaction, those scores I'm giving are representing how I feel towards the same objective, towards the same, let's say, interaction. Yeah. So it's individual feeling towards the same activity. And then you look at the entire team and see, okay, this team has some balanced points and some unbalanced points to observe. It's transforming the subjectivity of me feeling something into a set of data that helps people understand where they are together.
And that can take the pinch out of some of the interactions as well, because it becomes
and
easier to measure
exactly. And there is a very I've been observing for many years what's happening in the teams, and I try to pin down the activity and why that is important from a team working together. Yeah, so I need to have an objective in my team. I need to have a process in my team. If everything is unorganized, I can't really, I mean, anything can go if I don't have a certain order of the things I need to accomplish. So it's important to look at the interactions from organizational point of view, from the relationship point of view, and relationships here can be with the people in your team, with the entire organization, with your clients, you name it, whoever is part of the interaction. You have to look at the level of competence people have, because I may be having a senior title, but I may not have the experience of a senior. You know, someone with 2 years experience may be called a senior because they are very good at the technical aspects of, let's say, coding or a programming language. They can be extremely good at that, but they don't have the wide experience they need to work in a project that is beyond their technical expertise. So while they are senior from their technical knowledge, they are not senior in terms of interactions. And that comes across in a team. Yeah. So competence is important. The level of commitment is important. The level of determination is important. The level of yeah, I think I covered the basics on what's important. Where, for example, commitment in the IT world, it's very popular to be part of multiple teams at the same time and multiple projects. So you have a multi-team membership, and each team you work in every project you work in, you have different objectives with different targets. Yeah? So the way I interact with team one is not going to be identical, although my knowledge applied could be identical, but the way I interact is different. So I may have a great interaction with team one, part of my multi-team membership, and not so great with the other team, because the way I commit to things are very much linked to my purpose and what I like doing. If I don't like what I need to do in team two, that's the level of commitment I'm going to allocate to it. It may be awareness around it, or maybe no awareness around it from an individual perspective. This is how we behave. Yeah? So how can we look at these and make the workplace or the projects we work in better? How can we deliver together?
What would be your, like you say, I mean, you've got this process that you can use to actually pull all this together. So that's one thing that, you know, obviously people can get in touch with you and discuss in more detail. If you had one message that, you know, having seen this stuff over and over, and we were talking earlier on about, you know, how common it is, unfortunately, that a lot of projects, IT projects, transformation projects, either don't get completed or they don't, you know, succeed in the way that they were set out to happen. What would be the underlying message that you would want to say to people in terms of the solution that can solve those problems?
I think that when people become aware of the interactions they have, part of their day-to-day work, in a way that is not about blame, is not about expectation, is not about creating another conflict, but it's coming from a good understanding of what competence is, what you apply, and your whole spectrum of competence you might bring forward. I think that solves most of the problems, because you start talking from the point of view of the solution rather than putting all your attention on the problem. Because people argue about the problem, not so much about the solution.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I mean, I know you're also launching a book.
Yes.
We're recording this in coming towards the end of 2021, so it'll be coming out in early 2022. Is that right?
Yes, yes. It's scheduled for January, and it's a book about deliverability that I believe is the future of sustainable performance. Because we can have performance, but sustainable performance, it's a different ball game.
I think that's almost like a topic for another video. I know we've talked about that. We've only just started to get towards that as a topic, but I think that is a wonderful. I can totally plug into. I'm sure people listening can. This idea of, in this world of work, how do we make it enjoyable, and the business and the individuals are doing it in a sustainable way. Because if it's sustainable and energizing, things happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It becomes a motivational factor for people to actually see the value of their work being recognized. Because we don't go to work to just be there. It will be just a job and we do repetitive actions. But it's so much time we invest in our work every day that it's a pity not to actually look at it from the point of view of, I can't believe I'm paid to do what I'm doing. Yeah. It's part of accepting that when we've made a choice for interaction, we can always change that and make a new choice that will make it feel better.
Okay, well, Rux, it's been really a pleasure having this conversation. I know I'll put your LinkedIn and your website underneath in the description in the video. So if people want to get in touch with you, obviously that'd be an easy way, or they can just get in touch with me as well, and I'll put you in touch. And I wish you well. I can't wait to look at the book once it's ready. And yeah, we'll wish everybody else well. If they like the video, they can hit the like button and subscribe button and do all those fun things. And I'll see you very soon, Rux, and see everybody else very soon as well in cyberspace. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Carl. Let's play well together.
Sounds good. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.